we're here at RSA conference. It's been a great week, but we've got a great day ahead of you. Here, you're watching Techstrong Gang. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this special episode of Techstrong Gang. We actually recorded this on Thursday of last week at our Broadcast Alley studios here, where we've been all week here for RSA conference. This is probably, I guess, the largest RSA conference, or one of the largest ever. It's certainly been a memorable one. Some people are saying it's RSAI, but it's nevertheless RSA. I've got a great panel here. We're going to obviously talk about RSA, but we've got other things to talk about. Let me introduce you to our panel. First of all, joining us, far left, he's not in Denver. Hi. Actually, I don't know if he's high or not, but he's here in San Francisco. It's our CTO, Principal Research Analyst for Techstrong Research, Mitch Ashley.
Hey.
Welcome.
Good to be here.
Next to us, he's not on his boat either. He's here in person.
I didn't recognize him without the boat on.
No, you didn't recognize him without the boat. Our resident cyber expert, Chris Blask. Chris, welcome.
Yeah.
Joining us for the first time. He's a virgin for Techstrong Gang, like a virgin, for the very first time. My friend, Mark Miller. Hey, Mark, welcome.
Hey, good, thank you.
And of course, I'm Alan Shimel. So, look, it's obvious we're here at RSA. I guess we should start by talking about an RSA wrap-up. Guys, impressions? I mean, this is my 22nd or 23rd RSA.
I think one of the things that is noticeable this year is the comeback after COVID. And I know it's been a couple years, but it's reached its momentum again. We're at 30 to 40,000 people.
Oh, no, we're over.
I heard 46 or something.
Wow. Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, that's the last number I heard.
And literally everybody is here. I can't walk a half a block
Yeah.
without running into somebody.
Oh, the first day, it's like I couldn't get to the Starbucks without 6 hellos and hugs.
Yeah, and hugs are back.
Hugs are back.
That's really the sign that
That's a
COVID.
great point.
Last year, we had 40,000 people, if you remember, but people were a little hesitant to hug, right? You give them one of those. This year, hugs are definitely back. Yeah, the Heisman, we tried to hug. But I did see some people with masks, and God bless them. You don't know if people are sensitive,
Right.
or
maybe sick themselves and trying not to transmit, like our friends at
It's also the RSA of the police dog. We see more police dog security.
General.
We have airport security here.
Airport style security.
Yeah.
Well, part of that may be, look, the RSA, and I give Britta and Linda and the team a big shout out. They brought in some amazing speakers. We had Anthony Blinken, who's obviously Secretary of State. Mayorkas, the DHS Secretary, was here. Jason Sudeikis was here.
Alicia
Keys is closing out today. And those are the non-security people.
Yeah. Now let's get to the security.
But you're right. For me and all of us, Chris, Mitchell, Mark, we spend our world at conferences to a large degree. For me, this is still the home conference, right? Yeah. This is where my people are. This is where I come to see people I haven't seen in a year. I would come here even if I wasn't doing this or speaking or doing anything. This is where it's still where the security industry comes to meet.
Well, and think about the think about the Security Bloggers Network now. Security Creators Network.
We'll talk about that.
We were all at just a phenomenal event last night.
One of the best we've ever had at the Tonga Room.
And new people, new age groups. We're expanding the.
That was the point I was going to get to.
Oh, good.
Because you're right. The part of it is the pandemic gave us this little pause. And it's been long enough now. It's 5 years. And one of the things I've noticed in this year is generational augmentation. Yeah. Right? A lot of young folks. 5 years is a long time. Right? There's a lot of 27-year-olds who were 22 before this. Or 27 now they're 32. And at the creators get together last night, our first conversation was with some young writers who are coming into this. I think it's a very healthy sign. Almost Randy, this whole industry is very immature, very young. For all the time we spent in it, it's not a long time. I think we're starting to see the beginning of the next faith.
It's interesting. We saw that at the Tonga room last night.
Yes.
50-50 parity, male to female, which was
that was amazing.
Back then.
Amazing.
Oh no, yeah, right.
Oh, now we need some more diversity, people of color. That I
Yes.
think we need to continue to work on.
the thing, though. As we look around here, it's are we seeing more women? Are we seeing more younger people? I say, yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. But as an industry, we need to start thinking, and it's almost a buzzword in the sense we have to encourage that. We have to encourage the diversity.
Absolutely. Let me, I kicked it off by saying some people were calling this year's event RSAI. AI is everywhere.
Don't get me started on that.
Okay.
The engines are already RPM'd up. I think.
But look, quite frankly, physician, heal thyself. You put on an event Monday that was DevSecOps and AI, security in an AI world.
I bought the real practitioner. I bought the CISOs from the major
Oh,
companies.
you did the real AI people. These people are not the real AI
Well, when
people.
you
Is that
look
what
at
you're
it,
trying to
I
say?
call bullshit on it. Yeah.
All right, you're calling bullshit on it. Go ahead.
Well, how many people are, there were talks. I mean, I think you stood up at one of the talks and, sort of get a version of calling bullshit of, that's not an AI framework you're talking about. That's a framework we've used
That you
for
put
years.
AI on.
Slap AI. So there's a lot of slapping AI on.
No, there is a lot of slapping.
But
You've
there's
got
also
people
good AI.
standing up in front of 500 people talking like this framework is new, and all you've done is cut and paste the AI on the top of the different boxes in it.
Well, I mean, to your point, of course, I've been focusing on supply chain the last 5 years, right? And we're talking about the length of our time at this particular conference in this industry. And one of the things I've found in any sort of hype cycle, there's 3 years. There's the 1 year, so SBOM 2 years ago, you say, SBOM, what? SBOM, what? Now, oh, yeah. Then there's the year, everybody is on we're sort of there with AI, you guys are saying this year. And then there's this year, which sort of passed. And the thing I take away from this is walking down the street, the first person I turn around and meet in the badge line, software bill of materials. Oh yeah, I went to the ESET corporate event yesterday, and my question was, have you built this into your offerings yet? And the short answer is no, but they're about to. Yeah, sit down with these same folks next year at the same conference, and they'll say yes. And that conversation with a couple other folks showed that. So I think on the AI topic, we're in this year where everybody's talking about it, and you're right, there's probably a lot of junk. But
it's high school sex.
Yes, but it'll that's probably by next year
that's
starting to get married
there,
and
Mark.
moving
Okay.
on, right? So
Yo. But look, there's always a kernel of truth in there, and I don't want to throw out the AI babies with the bathwater.
Right.
There is some fundamentally, earth-shattering, industry-changing innovations that we're on the cusp of with AI, as well as, unfortunately, probably some really bad things that bad people are going to do using AI.
Mm-hmm.
But the adversary isn't what's being talked about here a lot, which surprises me at a conference like this.
well, there's only so much you can do about them, right? At the end of the day, unless you're going to be in offense, and that's a nation-state activity, we're in defense. And this is where, this whole event and this whole internet thing proves this open source, freedom of speech, democracy, capitalism sort of model, right? Where world is build better things. The conditions are what they are. If there's going to be bad disinformation actors, AI actors, that may be something we deal with. On our side, we'll just build systems that, work anyways.
Some of the conversations evolved too around AI, talking about domain specific or training, for specific kind of problems, like we talked about code security the other day at our conference. The other shift that I'm seeing is it isn't just co-pilots. Like, how many damn co-pilots do we need, right? I mean, I'm going to have to add extra seats to the bus just to have some place for all the co-pilots to sit. People are starting to work on putting AI into workflows or into how teams work or how it can affect security processes, not just tell me what's happening in a better English queryable way, natural language.
The thing that I've seen here, which is annoying to a point, is a lot of sessions saying you should be doing this. But are you doing it yet? No, but that's what you should be doing.
Agreed.
We're at the should stage.
Yep.
Yeah.
We should. Let's move on from AI for a minute because we're going to wrap this block up. Software supply chain security, you mentioned it in the context of SBOMs. I'll put forth the proposition that there's more to software supply chain security than SBOMs.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's one of the big themes here this year.
AppSec is too, with software supply
But
chain.
you know, I did a panel yesterday on DevSecOps Next, coming out of your research report. And one of the points I made is that DevSecOps does not equal AppSec. There's more to AppSec than DevSecOps. There's more to DevSecOps than purely AppSec. But AppSec is still absolutely ascending. But here's another thing. Hardware's back.
It is.
We
That's
talked
really good.
about that.
You,
That's a
Mark
great
and I
point.
spoke about it at breakfast today, right? The NVIDIA revolution, if you want to call it, for GPUs and so forth. Now we're starting to talk about hardware again. We're talking about what does that mean in context of serverless? And, you know, VMware is part of Broadcom now. What's a hardware company know from VMware? Well, we're going to see. I think hardware security, which was dead. Remember, Intel was building it into the...
It's all abstracted away. We don't need to worry about it anymore.
I think that's back. Not only am I excited about a new generation of security people, and I find it ironic that we got 4 old white guys here talking about it.
Sorry about that.
I couldn't get anyone else in here. But not only do we have a new generation of practitioners coming in, we're lighting up the full spectrum of security. Yes, there's AI. Yes, there's DevSecOps and AppSec and software supply chain, but endpoint security, cloud security, infrastructure.
Binary security. Binary
Binary
composition
data
analysis.
security.
We'd be
This
talking.
is the Dirk Gently era, right? You know, for all you Douglas Adams fans out there, everything's connected. And we're serving, you started this with SBOM not being all about everything there is to know about supply chain. And I see this as sort of the third matching pattern. The first one was adoption of the internet at all, firewalls, early 1990s. The second one was threat intelligence, where it asks the same sort of questions. How about we have open networks where we openly communicate? No, kid, you don't understand the internet. How about we have threat intelligence, so we share our threats and risks and vulnerability? Oh, no, kid, you don't understand. We do that now. If you're not doing it, you're not in business. So now it's about inventories, supply chain. SBOM is just an attestation about contents. You're not going to share those? Yes, you are. In fact, you're going to share everything in the right ways. I think that's the definition of this next era. And we'll use AI. We'll use a lot of things we're talking about to follow the path that the internet put us on. Open systems, not so open your brain falls out, with standards and limits and sharing appropriately. But we're going to put all these things together and just keep going in the same direction we've been going. It's not about closed systems. It's not about the old way of doing things.
SBOM has come up here a lot in the last 5 minutes. I saw Alan Friedman holding court in the middle of the hallway, surrounded. Alan's time has come, right?
Oh, yeah,
He spent a lot of time getting...
He has. Well,
Yeah,
he's done
earned it.
missionary work.
Right.
Yep.
Anyway,
See, one of the things I want to mention before we leave this is a lot of discussion about graphs, work group, collaboration, people graphs, tying people in, all this data, how you connect it together. It isn't just having a common set of objects and definitions of it. It's being able to say, here's an event that happened. Here's the other things that happened with it. Here's what other people were doing, end users, security engineers, operations people. It's all this activity that's happening across people, technology, services, software, security, et cetera, and connecting them together. You heard it from Microsoft at our DevSecOps event. Heard it last week from Atlassian talking about how people work. So I think people are recognizing it's not just putting data, co-locating data, having a common or similar kind of object model or definition, but you got to add meaning to it more than just correlating information. And that's an encouraging sign, because it's one thing to share it, but it's another thing to know what's really happening once you've shared it, right?
Right. Like you said an important word there, people, right? If everybody out there, if you get a chance, to come to the family dinner the Techstrong holds, it's about people and communities. And as we're discussing at that dinner and on this show, generationally, the generational shift, our kids, our grandkids in some cases, are growing up in a different world. And the issues of feelings and so forth have been debated a lot sociologically, but we get down to business dynamics, and we're building communities of people. What happens when we're not all engineers turning wrenches? Do we all fade in the background? No. We're building systems for humans. And I think this next generation coming up is better suited than we are.
The AI
Build
native
and-
generation is coming up right now, being
Right.
born as AI.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, I'm going to pull the plug on this block. We've got a lot more to talk about on Techstrong Gang, but I'm going to end it with this. If you didn't make this year's RSA, next year it's April 28th to May 1st. I'm reading it off the banner behind me. Try to get out here for yourselves and see it. Hopefully, God willing, we'll all be here, and we'll be here at Techstrong. We're going to take a break on Techstrong Gang. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, we're back here on Techstrong TV. We are at RSA conference doing a special edition of Techstrong Gang, so this was recorded last week. One of the issues I wanted to talk about is there's been a lot lately around open source. It seems like the bloom is off the rose a little bit around open source. Companies are changing licenses to take their products out of open source. We're seeing a ton of open source security vulnerabilities. This, what was it, YZ or XZ thing out of Microsoft that they discovered where kind of deep sleeper cells are inserting malware into open source. Open source has had a bit of a trust problem building in the last couple of years, actually.
Just the overall security in general, from a supply chain,
right,
your
for
favorite
supply
topic.
chains and SBOMs as it relates to cloud. I want to introduce you. We brought in a new person. This isn't Mark Miller, if you can't figure that out. It's our friend Sharyn Fitzpatrick. Sharyn is with Sysdig. She is sort of Sharyn's a security extraordinaire person. I enjoy talking to her. I think you'll enjoy talking to her. If she's not talking about security, she's talking about Nittany Lions football.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
there you go. From a Gator.
We
I'm not a
are.
Gator. Penn State. Hey, no, let's not do the football.
I'm
thing.
doing him early because he's coming to a game with me at
Yes,
some
I
point.
am.
So.
I can't believe you did say Steelers, but okay. Yeah.
No, this is college football.
College, I know.
Different.
It's
Anyway,
it's
though,
still Pennsylvania.
enough football. Let's get back to open source.
Oh, I'll stick with football.
You had to bring it up.
I had to. But Mitchell, why don't you kick us off with open source?
You know, it's one of those. Everybody kind of had the the bloom is off the rose. Everybody had the optimistic. This is a good thing. It's good for everybody. It underpins large percentages of the code that we deploy, the software that we deploy. And I think enough things have happened now. We can all point to SolarWinds or whatever individual event, but enough things have started to happen about us, and we're paying attention to supply chain security. Like, what is the security of the open source that we're using in our products as well as in our software, in our IT organizations, in our infrastructure? I don't think it's get rid of it, throw the baby out with the bathwater, to use that analogy again. But it is, how do we secure it? How do we have some provenance about where it came from that we know? Whether it's somebody contributing to the code or just the code itself.
Sharyn, Sysdig, look, you guys do container security, cloud security.
Yep.
Just last week, there was this thing in Docker Hub. I don't know if you saw where some of the images within Docker Hub itself were contained malware and phishing and stuff like that. What do and I realize you're not necessarily on the science side there, but talk a little bit about Sysdig. What are you guys seeing, doing?
Well, I mean, we've been really proud of the open source products that we've done. We just had Falco graduate from CNCF.
Right.
Which is a huge...
It's a huge deal. And, Lars, our founder, also founded, Wireshark. So he's very much committed to open source. And our open source very much considers security at the hub of it. So we've not had the experience that many of folks in the industry have had. But we do really look at the threat reports. We have a whole threat research team, and the threat intelligence is what we use to learn and make our product better. And so, we found RubyCarp and Scarlet Heel and all the stuff that's out there. So,
Seems like you're coming from a place of security and open source, or
Right.
either way you look at it. where not every project is like that.
That's true, yeah. And I think we also are very cognizant of time. So we kind of say, 5 seconds to hit us, 5 seconds to detect, and 5 seconds to respond. And that 5-5-5 kind of benchmark methodology is really important when you consider time and malware and everything else. Threats hit in an instant, and you have to respond. You mentioned SolarWinds. Well, now think of the fact that you've got the SEC compliance laws coming out and everything that came out in December and having to do it in 96 hours. And how do you do that? Because you're now legally responsible for providing it.
Mm-hmm. I think open source is a lot like free speech, right? And I think we're only a couple decades into this whole internet and open source thing anyways, which on the scale of most systems is really, really young. And I think as expected, we go through this sort of adolescent wearing a black beret and smoking Galois cigarettes and going to interpretive dance.
Told you he was old.
We are in California.
But at some point you have to grow up a little bit, right? And does that mean you stop doing that entirely? So early open source, early free speech. So free speech means that everybody gets to say everything everywhere the same as everybody else. So we can all shout fire in crowded theaters. Oh, wait, there's an exception to this. That doesn't mean you don't have free speech. So, and it's just, saying and implying, we don't have any of this without open source. Now, does that mean that there is no limit, no controls, and no visibility? No, that's kind of stupid too.
Right.
Or just getting to this maturity level where we're starting to be able to put things together as necessary for the next level. But if the alternative is entirely closed systems, that's not even on the table.
But I think you have to be open because you have to have the ability to remix, reuse, reprotect, and bring in something where maybe you're vulnerable and you have a partner or another open source product that together you're better than one. And I think that's been the beauty of open source, because it's really how you can rethink and redefine what security is or what open source is.
Yeah.
I actually wrote a book about this for the Hewlett Foundation, but it was more tied to education, called Open Textbook. So it was really about remixing, reusing, and redistributing content in a different way so you could learn more in a different time.
Interesting. So let me make the case that this is all of the open source security issues actually have been a good thing. I'm not saying I wish they happened, but think
Needed
about
to happen.
They drive evolution.
We're now talking about DevSecOps is the entire life cycle of creating software, as well as the technology that we do it on, right? That's tool chains underlying, because that's how SolarWinds happened, right? So we're paying attention to software supply chain. I think largely because of the security issues found in open source. If that wouldn't happen, we'd be still kind of living along happy, drunk and happy,
Dumb and happy,
whatever.
fat, stupid,
And happy, right? Was it the Animal House?
Well, that speaks to my whole focus on curves, right? Because it's not that no one ever thought of software inventory before, but now it's time. And we keep going through these periods. And again, as we were talking about earlier, we're all old enough and we've seen this multiple times.
Right.
And it's easy to say, well, I thought of that 30 years ago. It's like, yeah, but it wasn't that time.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's time. And you're right. Moving, as you guys know, I build silly boats and sail them into storms to see what happens. And that's what we're sort of doing. It's like we can actually do this, build businesses and countries, sail it forward, it'll crash a little bit, and we'll rebuild it. And that's a very open system.
It's threat actors, too. I think that threat actors have really redefined kind of how we secure open source. And they always seem to find the vulnerabilities, which is why we're hearing about constant invasions and malware and ransomware and everything else. Every time you turn around, I'm getting a letter from a healthcare provider or a credit card company that they've been hacked.
Yeah.
So, it's really the threat actors have gotten very sophisticated.
I think open source has been a victim of its own success.
Good point.
Right? Back in the 90s, early 2000s, a Mac was invulnerable, right? Those Windows machines, terrible security. No, Mac security is, impenetrable. Well, it's because it was only 5% of the market and no one gave a crap.
Right.
When Mac got to 20%, 25%, whatever it is of the market, all of a sudden they had a target on their back. And people said, hey, we should start hacking Macs. And God darn it, they did. All of a sudden we started seeing Mac attacks. Now, Was it as bad as the window machines running XP? No, probably not. But as we sit here today, are Macs particularly more secure than today's Windows? Whether you're a fanboy or not, you can go back and forth, but there's not a big difference because Macs are a target. When open source wasn't in 98% of the Fortune 500, when open source didn't make up 80% or more of the components within every application, no one gave a hoot. But now they do. So it's a victim of its own success, and it's to be expected.
Kind of why do they keep robbing banks? Well, that's where the money is.
Exactly.
Exactly that,
That's
right?
exactly it.
I mean, hackers are doing the same thing. I found it really interesting that there's a group of white hat hackers that are hired by companies who have open source or have their own code to break it. And so
Red team, blue team stuff. There's been
it's
going
great.
on. Yeah.
Well, and we're part of, we, the defenders and the security people, are the other part of that ecosystem as we close off certain windows that are nutrient rich. That, I mean, if you're a bad guy, that'll take all your time just exploiting that. We close it off and they turn around and they find something else we missed.
The easy,
And we shouldn't be shocked.
lower hanging fruit, right?
you want to know where you're going to fail before you go to market.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Hey, this is a great
can
talk.
see why you
Sharyn,
shared
thank you
this
for
here.
coming by. What a serendipitous, right?
Yeah.
Ad hoc, as they say. Go Nittany Lions. I will see you soon. Sysdig, check them out. Sharyn does a lot of stuff that you should check her out as well. Sharyn Fitzpatrick. We're going to take a break on Techstrong Gang. We'll be back.
Everyone, welcome back to Techstrong Gang. We're here for our third segment at RSAC. We're recording this the prior week, so coming to you on Monday. We wanted to touch back into the AI subject, but not about the technology, about the people side of that. I mean, you think about the 46,000 people that are here, all wanting to understand security, AI, how that's all going to be part of our world, but there's a lot of fear in the market about what does it mean for people. There's a lot of espousing of, this is going to replace all these jobs, whatever it might be. I think we've all seen instances of that over time, whether it's robotics or automation or, it increases productivity. Maybe it changes jobs. It might eliminate some, but create new opportunities. Is it going to take over for all of us and we don't have to do the work we're doing?
It's interesting. Some people use the buggy whip analogy. It's like but it's not that this time because everybody is now aware of where this thing is going. The real fear is, where do I as a person fit into this transition? There's a lot of fear-mongering in the mass media about, people are going to lose their jobs, there's not going to be anything to do. I would argue that that's not what's happening. Chris?
I agree. In 1987, when Don and I got married, we had to put your occupation on there. So I pull this up sometimes, and I'm a forklift driver, and Don is a word processor, which is an app now. But there were whole floors of people who paid their bills and so forth by being a word processor. So I think the buggy whip analogy is true enough. But I think, I feel like a bit of a hippie saying this, but I think we move more and more to human-related jobs. That we can make a robot or make code that'll pound this wrench into that nail or write this line, but we're doing it for people, right? And that's really what it's all about. And so I think creativity in the arts, I think we see this in the generation coming up today. And we've touched on this some in our tech business talk here. Companies are made of people. Why are we here? To pay our bills and but also to have a good day, right? So I think my Pollyanna optimism is showing But I think it's true. I think in 10, 20 years we look back, we'll find out that we'd worked in sort of a brutalistic, corporate business environment all our lives, just bending more towards what people actually want to do, which is not necessarily pound code all day.
I don't disagree. So do you tell your children to be a plumber or an electrician?
If they want to,
Officer?
Think back to the Mercury rocket days. Computer was a person and a 2-year word processor. So some of those jobs become functions of what we do, not just job titles. So maybe security engineer, I don't know, that will become a piece of software, but what we do, our jobs change, right? Because we have access to things we didn't have. I mean, we have talked about the AI generation growing up, AI natives. I think the same thing is true. In 10 years, we're going to be talking about security, probably still, buffer overflow issues and cross-site scripting, but we'll be talking about a whole new set.
I mean, the OWASP top 10 isn't going to change?
I think that'll be around for a while. Well, at least if history's any indication. But the way we work is going to change. It's going to be different.
The issue,
you don't agree?
No, I do agree. I think,
okay.
but I don't think this is unique to AI. I think this is the story of every generation. You're looking at someone who went to college as a political science history major, went to law school with a JD, and then got into the internet designing websites and hosting them, and then got into infrastructure and then security. And here I am talking about cybersecurity on internet TV at an event in San Francisco.
Make that prediction.
If you would have gone back to my 20-year-old me and said, is that what you're going to do at this age? I would have said, hell no. What are you talking? I don't even know what that internet thing is, and I never had a computer. I have an Atari. But so, fast forward that. Who knows what the jobs of tomorrow are?
I think that's a good point, because the fear is I don't see myself in the future.
What I'm doing today,
Yeah.
future even.
Right. That people are looking, where's my next pathway? And I'm hearing all this stuff about AI and AI replacing me. I don't think that's in the ball game. The thing is, find your path and it'll be there.
Yeah, it's not the next offshoring, outsourcing model, right? Yes, it's going to do things that we might do ourselves today. But, it isn't sentient yet. It doesn't understand the space any better. Matter of fact, it doesn't even know what it's producing for Gen AI. It doesn't know what the meaning of that even of it is. Maybe it will someday, but, I think we're still creators. We're still going to create. What the next thing is that follows after AI.
Let me go a little John Belushi on you.
Okay. Food fight?
No, not that one.
Oh, not that one.
No, but people in Star Trek don't worry about this stuff, right? They just do whatever makes them happy and what they want to pursue. They don't have to worry about money and all of these things. But no, not us. We got to worry about jobs.
As long as they don't have a red shirt on and they're
Right. Well, they have a very low lifespan with the red shirt. But the fact of the matter is, all of these innovations, and AI happens to be today's whipping boy, all of these innovations generally wind up allowing us to pursue our dreams, to pursue our, not just livelihoods. It's a death sentence to go to a job you hate every day, or a profession you hate every day. And when you can leverage technology, whether it be AI or the internet or whatever's next, to allow you to do something that gives you joy, no all kidding aside about the Star Trek, that gives you joy and fulfillment and makes you feel like you're contributing and doing something meaningful, it's a good thing. And I think that's how we have to look at AI. How does this make us joyful, meaningful, and contributing? And I think AI gives us a lot of possibilities there. So, call me half glass, half full guy, but that's where I am on this.
The next generation is going to be raised with this. This isn't even going to be an issue.
Absolutely.
It's not even a debate. I mean, I've always when I can, I try to take the approach of, instead of done to me, let me be part of this, right? And so it's a participation sport. Let me try it. Let me use AI. Maybe somebody who's never written a line of code could use AI to create a little something. Oh, wow, that's really cool. Maybe I could write I'm not a writer, but I could get some help from doing that. Maybe it's going to empower the next person that writes. Maybe the next David Brin will be a writer because AI helped them get started. You build some confidence about doing it.
Agreed.
I'm such an optimist anyways, but, I just basically agree with everything you guys are saying, but I see AI as a time to transparency accelerator. So many things don't get to happen because we just don't have time. When I think about it in the security context, all the bloody time, but just in life. I'd really like to bring me joy to do this, but I can't because it'll take 7 minutes when I've only got a couple seconds, or it'll take 7 days or 7 years. And we're collapsing a lot of that, to create the opportunities for people to do things, which include, business, work, building things. People like doing things, and we're going to do it forever. Now we'll just be able to do a wider range of them that we never crossed our mind because we didn't have the time.
You didn't have the time. Speaking of time, we're about out of it here.
I was going to say.
Hey, this is going to wrap up our special Techstrong Gang episode from RSA. We hope you've enjoyed it. We've got a full Techstrong TV schedule following this, so stay tuned for that. We'll be back tomorrow with a fresh Techstrong Gang back at our studios in Boca. Until then, on behalf of Mitch Ashley, Chris Blask, Mark Miller, Alan Shimel, enjoy. We're out.
I'm Bonnie Schneider, sustainability contributor to the Techstrong Group. I'm excited to introduce you to a groundbreaking new initiative from Techstrong Research, the Sustainability Pulse Meter. The Pulse Meter offers valuable insights into how environmental responsibility factors into tech purchasing decisions for key players in the industry. Position your company as a leader in the industry and differentiate from your competitors with the Sustainability Pulse Meter, offered exclusively from Techstrong Research.